What's going on tonight, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Midnight Sessions. This is kind of the series where we just kind of hang out, relax, chill out, lay back. The workday's over, we can just kind of, decompress, have a good time, and just kind of discuss guitar stuff and guitar gear and all that fun stuff and music and whatever you guys want to bring up in the comments. During Midnight Sessions, what I like to do oftentimes is have myself an adult beverage because you know what? I've earned it. And tonight I'm having some tequila. This is delicious. I have it just on ice. It's not even in a mixed drink because this is the good stuff. Lisa brought back some really great tequila from Mexico. She brought back some añejo, which if you're not familiar with tequila, there's kind of three different levels, three different quality grades, I guess you would say. And this is kind of like the highest, the most sought after, the most expensive. And it's really delicious and it's very smooth and it's very mild. So I'm really enjoying that. So I'm sipping on some tequila. Let me know in the comments what you're drinking tonight. And if you're not an alcoholic type of person, have yourself a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever it is that makes you happy. And we're just going to hang out and relax and kind of chit chat a little bit about guitar and all that good stuff. I thought I would bust out my CHARVEL DK24. Haven't played this thing in a while. And I kind of missed it because this is another one of my staple guitars. This is another one of my go-tos, not often, not recently, but in the past it's been kind of one of my go-tos because it's basically a Stratocaster. I mean, CHARVEL is owned by Fender, and it's got a lot of the same kind of aesthetics, the same kind of feel, and the same vibe. However, this does have two humbuckers, which is a little less typical for a regular Fender Strat, but this sounds really nice. I have complained in the past about this bridge humbucker. It's called the Full Shred. It's Seymour Duncan's Full Shred. It is a little bit bright, I will be honest with you, but I've learned to deal with it, and sometimes I'll just kind of roll the tone back a little bit, which is something I never do. But in this particular case, you kind of need to just to kind of cut back on some of those bright high-end, frequencies. But yeah, I miss playing this guitar, and one of the reasons I really haven't played it a lot, honestly, is because it comes from the factory with one of these EVH Bourne's low friction volume pots, which are so low friction that it literally just spins like nothing. You can just barely nudge it and it goes flying, just goes spinning. So I just got it back from my guitar tech the other day. I had him install, I think it's an Alpha pot, I forget which brand. I kind of went through all of my guitars and decided, which pot is really one of the best as far as, how it works, doesn't get crackly, isn't cheap, and has a nice kind of almost a stiff feel to it where it takes a little bit of effort to kind of turn it. I mean, it's a smooth turn, but it just has more, it just takes more effort, a little bit of friction in there. And I really enjoy this now because before it kind of felt cheap in some regard because of that low friction volume pot. I really never cared for that thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why I just didn't pick up this guitar much more recently, as some new gear was coming in, some new guitars for me to try out. So, sometimes a simple little modification for $15 or whatever it is, $30 by the time you're all said and done. Sometimes just the littlest modifications can make your instrument so much more enjoyable to play. What are some modifications that you guys have done on your guitars, small or large? What are some of the things that you like to do to all of your guitars perhaps, when you get a new one in to kind of make it your own, kind of besides the string change. I mean, is it something as drastic as like, putting on a new neck, or is it something smaller like new tuners, a new pots, what have you? I like to tweak my guitars here and there. I kind of feel like, any guitar that I get in that's new, that I purchase, I kind of want to do something to it to kind of make it my own, so I just feel like I connect with it a little bit better. I guess that's a good way to put it. And yeah, this just feels great now, man. This volume knob is amazing. Like, I just can't stop turning it, for no reason at all. It just feels really solid, and I'm enjoying playing this guitar again. I'll just say that. Yeah, it's been a while. These strings are really old. I had to check my spreadsheet. These strings are actually 10 months old, so they are long overdue for a string change, and I'll probably get to it in the next day or two. I think I'm going to drop this down too, because currently I still have this in standard tuning, but I'm kind of leaning away from the standard tuning more recently. I really do enjoy the drop tune stuff, and while I'm not really that good at writing music in the drop tunings, I'm just kind of gonna keep doing it, man. I'm gonna keep doing my own musical thing, and if you like it, let me know. If you don't, let me know. That's cool too. I really don't have any personal influences musically like in person, like locally. I don't have neighbors or friends or any people that I kind of jam with here in my area. So the only influences I really get are from just music that I hear online, on Spotify, YouTube, what have you. So a lot of my downtune stuff is just unique, you know. Maybe, I don't know a better way to describe it, but I'm trying to get towards the, you know, I'm trying to get to this path where I can just write drop-tuned music much more easily, stuff that I want to hear, stuff that I listen to, and I'm still struggling with it, but I'm just kind of pushing through those barriers because that's my nature, is just to keep pushing through. I want to get better at what I want to get better at, so I'm going to continue to pursue that until I get to the point where I want to be, where I'm satisfied with my skill level. So as far as my musical writing goes, you know, I do some demo tracks for my guitar reviews and this and that, and those are fun, but they're kind of they're not really music I would necessarily want to release unless, you know, I built them out into a more full-fledged song. Or a lot of them I really want to rewrite them in drop tunings now. I just kind of feel like I want to get away from the standard tuning as much as possible. So anyways, that's a whole long rant just to basically say I want to drop tune this guitar. Yeah, but I do love this Charvel. And, you know, they do still make this model. They even have the same color. I think this one comes in like 4 or 5 different colors. It's kind of a staple, you know, as far as Charvels go. I mean, the DK series is the dinky body series, so it's a little bit smaller than your typical, you know, Strat body, but not so much so that it looks like a toy or anything. It's just very comfortable, very lightweight, and it's just a nice little shred machine. And, you know, I was just kind of goofing off there, just doing a little improv stuff, and it wasn't too good, but that's okay. We're here to have fun, guys. We're here to not judge each other. At the end of the day, you just have to be happy with what it is that you play. You know, what kind of music you're making for yourself and what I'm doing for myself. And I'm getting there. But like I said, I'm going to continue to push myself to kind of break through barriers musically, sonically, in any ways that I can, until I get to a level where I can look back and say, wow, I've really made it, you know, to this point. Or I've really increased my skill or technical prowess in, you know, such and such a time frame. Yeah, it's a constant pursuit. You know, the creative process, I think for anybody who's a creative, whatever your medium is, whether it's music or something else, I think it's just important to continue to always strive for, not perfection, but strive for improvement, because I believe that there's probably really no limit, you know, virtually no limit beyond the world of the physical world to how well you can perform at your skill, at your talent, at athleticism, art, music, whatever it is. I think that you can always continue to improve. And I like that concept because at my mature age, I'll say that, I kind of feel like, you know, time isn't so much on my side anymore. If you're somebody who's younger out there, let's say you're 18, 19 years old, in mid-20s, whatever, you've got decades ahead of you to improve, to get better, to reach for that, you know, the brass ring. Whatever it is you want to do with your music or with whatever art that you do, you've got some time. You've got some years ahead of you that you can kind of not relax, not take it slow, but you can just, you know, go, okay, I can work this out in the next 5-10 years. You know, I can get to the level I want to be at, or I can work out a record deal at some point, you know, 20 years from now. I mean, it's going to happen if you really push towards it and you really believe in yourself and you really try to just improve all the time. You'll get where you want to be eventually. But at my older age, you know, I kind of feel like I need to get there a little bit quicker. You know, so I started doing the YouTube thing a couple of years ago, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. I didn't really realize what I was getting into at first or why I was even really doing it. You know, the first video I ever put up was it was a submission for one of those solo, you know, contests, and it was fun to do. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but it was a lot of fun. I figured it out, and every step along the way, when there was a new barrier to entry or a new process for me to figure out, I worked it out. I figured it out. I took the time to research it, to practice it, to get better at it, you know, what have you, with whether it's the cameras, the lighting, the sound, you know, all that stuff. You just have to you figure it out, you know, and if you really have the self-determination and that drive, you can get to where you want to be. So that all being said, I'm still pursuing my musical fantasy, my musical dream, and I believe I'll get there. You know, whether it's to be in a band that travels around and plays live shows, or just to get, like I said, I want to get some music out on streaming by the end of this year. So that is like a short-term goal. and I'm really striving to get there. Some of the things that are kind of holding me back, I would say, are things like song arrangements. I could be better at that, or I could spend more time working at that to really, till I get to the point where I'm just really pleased with what I've put together. My mixing skills are not good at all, and I know that. So, judge for yourself. If you heard any of my demo tracks, the last one I put out, I think, the snare drum was just too spiky, and I could spend a lot more time on them. I could probably spend, days, if not weeks, mixing, because I'm still not that good at it. I know what I have to do, and I kind of know the route I have to take to kind of get better at that stuff. But it does take time. It does take a lot of practice and a lot of effort to really get it to the point where you're like totally satisfied with it. So I'm going to continue to pursue my dreams, and you should too. But meanwhile, sometimes you got to stop and have a adult beverage. That is really good tequila. That is really, really delicious stuff. So yeah, I thought tonight I might do one of these things where I was going to like play a couple short clips from a few different kind of song ideas that I've got recorded. And I was going to ask you, the viewers out there, to kind of tell me, what do you think? Which one should I work on? Which one should I scrap? Everything I've recorded, whether it's just a little snippet, a riff, or half a song, or, a couple of bars of something, everything I've recorded is something that I enjoyed playing and writing and what have you. I'm just kind of, working it out for myself, kind of figuring out, okay, what's a good drum fill from this section to transition into the next section? Or, should I do a clean part, or should I stop doing so much clean stuff in my intros? Or are my chugs heavy enough? Do I have enough distortion? Is it too much distortion? It's like, there's so many options, right? When it comes to making music, it's almost like if you're just a sole, person like myself, you're just producing your entire song, there's a lot to know, and there's a lot to learn and figure out, and a lot of decisions to make as far as, how do I want this song to sound? How long is it going to be? What's the vibe? What kind of drums? Am I going to do a lot of ambient background stuff? Is it going to be lead work or no lead work? Is this metalcore? Do I need the breakdown? There's just there's so many options, and it makes it confusing, but it's also a lot of fun to just kind of figure out, okay, this sounds good. Or, once in a while you just get that little spark and you're like, this sounds amazing. Once in a while I get those, not too often, but sometimes. Yeah, so tonight we're just kind of chilling out, guys. Like I said, midnight sessions here. It's just kind of laid back. I want to just keep it a chill vibe here. And if it's late at night and you can't sleep, you're not reading a book or something, you can turn this video on and just kind of sit back and relax. And throw a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about as far as music goes. Guitars, guitar gear, any kind of music gear, all that good stuff. I like talking shop as far as like gear goes and modifications. What's the latest guitar that you just bought? Do you love it? Do you not like it? Are there reasons why? I think a lot of people out there, when they make a purchase, they seek out videos that give them confirmation bias, which basically says you're looking for videos or opinions that relate to how you want to feel about your purchase, right? You might have bought something and it's, it costs a lot of money. Let's say you bought something for $500 or $1,000. You don't want to feel like you wasted your money. You don't want to feel like you made a mistake or it's not a perfect, instrument or something like that. So you'll seek out videos and, reviews that kind of shine a positive light on it, and look away from the ones that kind of, point out the negatives or the, detracting points about it. So that's confirmation bias. And I'm guilty of it myself too. I know that when I've seen something that I'm really interested in acquiring, I'll seek out videos where they just rave about it, right? They just talk about it like, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. And it's just human nature. I think we do that unintentionally, but sometimes that can be to our detriment, because you can end up purchasing something where, a couple weeks or a couple months down the road, you're like, you know what? I don't really care for this that much. It doesn't sound that good. I spent all this money. Now I got to sell this thing. It's used. I'm not going to get my money back. That happens sometimes, but I don't want people, when they watch my channel, I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to sell you something. I want to bring you these reviews so that you're just informed, so that you kind of have a better sense of what the item feels like, sounds like, the quality of it. And if you're in the market for that kind of item already, great. Then click on the links, check it out in detail, buy one if you want to. But I'm not here to sell you stuff. I'm not here to BS you about, gear. I'm going to give you my honest opinions, because I would want honest opinions from you. flip it around. You know, when I watch other YouTubers, I expect to get, you know, honest opinions. Like Henning Pauly, for instance, right? A lot of us watch him, right? He's awesome. He'll give you your straight up honest opinion. He'll say, this sucks, that's stupid. You know, it makes sense. Yes, at the end of the day, you know, people are trying to work with companies and brand deals and all this stuff. You know, we got to make money, right? You got to put food on the table. But you still want to come across as somebody who's genuine. He certainly is. There's a few other people out there I could mention too, but I'm not, you know, I don't want to give you the whole list. But there's a lot of people out there that give really good advice, and I rely on them to give me an honest opinion of what they really think about this item. Whether it's cheap or expensive, I don't care. I just want to know I'm going to be satisfied with it, you know, if and when I get it. This Charvel is a wonderful guitar, and I think this is the first guitar I purchased after I started my YouTube channel. So before then, I only had 2 or 3 guitars at that time, which I had acquired, you know, years and years earlier. And I wasn't really into the whole guitar community scene yet. I wasn't really into that whole thing. But as I started to learn more about YouTube and started my own channel, I'm like, I got to get some gear in here. I got to do something, right? So I purchased this guitar probably about 4 years ago. And I still love it to this day. I really do. It has a certain kind of sound to it. You know, it gives me kind of Polyphia vibes. I get the clean and the lightly distorted tones really nicely out of this guitar. The heavier distortion tones are a little thin sometimes, and again, it's because of that bridge pickup. You know, it's just very bright. There's not a lot of bass and warmth to it, so you really have to dial up your EQ to kind of balance that out. I don't hate it though. I've decided I'm just going to leave it in there because I have so many other guitars that if I want a warmer feel, a different vibe, a different feeling guitar, I'll just grab something else, you know. But when I'm in the mood for kind of, like I said, the Polyphia type stuff, you know, the neo soul, the spanky stuff, the funk tones, this Charvel does it really, really well. In fact, this guitar probably would be good for even things like, you know, blues and classic rock and stuff like that. Just turn that tone knob down a little bit and you're good to go. This thing is a joy to play. I love it. It's gotten really starting to show some nice wear on it. You know, the shiny spots there because this has a satin finish, kind of that matte satin finish. So over time, you know, wherever your hands or your arms rest or whatever, wearing on it just kind of shines it up and glosses it up. And like I've said before, you can't avoid it. It's just going to happen. But on this guitar, I kind of like that it's doing that, you know, because I don't need my guitars to remain in pristine, brand new condition. I was actually watching a video by somebody else today, and they were talking about how they've modified their guitar, and you know they don't like to keep it all pretty and brand new. And I get it, you know, they look cool, right, when they're hanging on the wall in the guitar store, but you want to kind of break it in a little bit, right? You want to, like I said, you want to make it your own, you know, give it some sweat and wear out those frets a little bit, and you know, put some marks on the fretboard and just make it yours. Life is too short. You can't take it with you. So if you can afford to buy it and you really want that item, whatever it is, you have to make time to really enjoy the stuff that you have around you, or else what do you have it for, right? If it's just up on a wall and you're just staring at it, there's no reason for that. I don't care how wealthy you are. I don't care if you're the doctor or the dentist with all that money, you just want to get that really expensive whatever, Murphy Lab or custom shop, blah, blah, blah. Great, that's wonderful. But if you can't play the instrument or you're not really, you know, you're not showing it some love, right? It was made to be played, made to be enjoyed. Give it to somebody who's going to enjoy it, or somebody who plays a lot better than you do. That's my little rant for tonight. Basically, the bottom line is this. Life's too short. Enjoy the stuff you have. Enjoy the people around you, the good people around you. Dump all the nonsense and the bad people and all the negativity. Get that out of your life and just be positive and just enjoy the stuff you have. And make the music you want to make, because that, after all, that's what we're doing with these guitars, right? We're trying to make music, and I'm trying to make my own music here. Sometimes I fall flat on my face. Sometimes I get a really good idea and it sounds amazing, you know, and everything in between. But it's a heck of a lot of fun. It's a fun journey. I love doing this YouTube stuff. I really like interacting too with my audience. So like I said, leave a comment down below. Let me know what's going on with you, and just give me your thoughts, man. Give me your thoughts about whatever it is that drives you musically. I often see a lot of guitar players and a lot of musicians that don't have any music theory. Now, there's an argument for both sides of it. If you know music theory and you know it inside and out, you can use it to help you write better, be more creative. And the same exact words can be used for those who don't have any musical knowledge. If you know where to put your fingers to make the notes sound how you want them to sound, then why would you need any other information other than that? Almost as if learning all of the structured format of music theory somehow hinders you or somehow locks you into a cage of you can and can't do certain things. Some people perceive that as being, a detractor to being creative. For me, I'm on the side of kind of like, I learned a lot of music theory many years ago. I studied it in grammar school, high school, even a little bit in college. I did some music theory courses, and I did play classical violin for a time. I did play a little bit of classical piano for a year or two, so I have a lot of musical knowledge under my belt. I wouldn't say I have as much knowledge as your typical jazz player or your session musician, but I mean, I remember a lot of it. And I find that every once in a while when I'm stuck for an idea, or I'm looking for some kind of a transition in my song, or just a non-typical chord sequence or something like that, I'll revert back to some musical, knowledge to kind of dig out from the archives of my brain, what can I use here that'll work, in a musical sense. And sometimes it helps me. And there's other times where I'm just cranking away at the power chords and whatever, not in any one key, and it just sounds good too. So it's kind of like there's two sides to that coin. I'm just telling you from my perspective, I feel as though music theory can help you. It's helped me, and I do rely on it on occasion, and then there's times when I don't use it at all, and both ways works, equally well, I would say. But I do like having the knowledge rather than not, and I kind of feel that way, in every aspect of my life. I'd rather know about something than not know about it, because you don't know what you don't know, right? And there's a lot of information out there, in many different areas of life that we don't know what we don't know. And the more you learn about something, I think the more, like on TV, the more you know, that whole thing. The more you know, the better informed you're going to be to make good decisions. So in music, I think it's good to have music theory, to have some knowledge of it. Even just a basic understanding can be helpful and beneficial to you. And if you're just new to music theory, or you're trying to learn it, online, YouTube, or from a book or what have you, I think you'll be inspired, initially at least, because you'll get some new ideas. You'll be like, oh, that's why that works, or that's why that makes sense, or that's why, one scale doesn't work well with certain chords, and, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it can help to inspire you. So I would definitely recommend, looking into a little bit of music theory, just the basic stuff, right? The circle of fifths, things like that, learn your modes and what they mean and maybe how they sound a little bit and stuff like that. I think that's very beneficial to any musician, really. So that's it for tonight, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you stuck around to the end of the video, please make sure to hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thanks a lot, guys. Until next time, enjoy your evening. I'll talk to you soon. I'm out of here. See ya.